guys for being here today. Just some housekeeping. We're going to have our superintendent, Andy Gardner, come on. He's going to give a statement, and then we'll have time for some questions. We are going to have it, because there's people in here, more than one, we'll do one question at a time and then one follow-up as well. And then once we come to a conclusion, I'll wrap everything up. Sorry. So, Superintendent Gardner.
Thanks everyone for coming today. We're going to just give you a brief overview of where things are in the bargaining process that led to today's walkout. And we want to as well give you some insight into the issues. So we want to make sure that everyone understands that we're working really hard to come to an agreement here with our teachers. It is important. We cannot do school without them. They're just so critical to what we do, and they're great people, and we are always entering the room each time thinking about not just the people in the room, but all 575 teachers in this district. Super important that both sides work together. We pledge that we're going to continue to do that. We want to as well make sure that you understand that we are keeping our classified staff harmless in this. They will report to work tomorrow. School was closed today, but they will report to work tomorrow. They have jobs. We will be distributing food. We will use our bus transportation system to do that. And we will have people otherwise engaged in the building. Of course, our maintenance crews will be taking advantage of this opportunity to clean schools and to do some repairs of the buildings without the students in them. We want to thank Albany Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA here in Albany for their planning and their willingness to house additional students at this time. And we know that this places a huge stress on families when parents go to work. Typically their kids go to school. Right now that option is not available. Their ability to expand somewhat does not meet the whole need, but we appreciate the efforts that they have put in. The bargaining process specifically right now, we have been in mediation since September 10th. We have had 5 days of full mediation. Most of them have run into the evenings. Last night, after yesterday's mediation, lasted until 2 a.m. At this point, the district has responded to all 34 articles that the union has opened, and we have worked throughout the spring, into the summer, beginning again in August. And at this point, we can fairly say that of the 34 articles open, we have responded to all of them. Last night, as we got towards midnight, we had a sit-down full session interaction where both full teams came for a meeting. Again, student safety was talked about, and they ended with a statement that if we do not have a hard cap on class size, that we will go on strike. That occurred at about 11. We did ask them to come back and discuss the issue further. Currently, this has been something that has been talked about on a couple of occasions in bargaining. We have come back and have provided counteroffers that include an improved process to address class size with teachers. We have also offered to set aside a fund of $250,000 that would be set aside specifically to solve those problems. But the issue seems to be that there is a need on their part to have a hard class cap. We did go back after they had made that statement, and we did make several statements, tried to work to explain that. If we have 2 or 3 kids that are difficult, the number of other kids in the room is less important. It is how we support and deal with that behavior, as opposed to how we, the fact that there's just a hard number, a total number of kids in the room. We need to really focus on behavior. We were able already in this bargaining on October 25th to reach an agreement with the union on the article called behavior management. And so we feel like this has we need it to be better articulated by them how a hard number in a classroom addresses behavior. And I know that there is a lot of emotion around that, but we feel like there have been a lot of strides. This is something we've already TA'd, and we want to continue to have those discussions. Also last night, the district increased its compensation offer 15 to 18.
Yes.
So over 3 years of this contract, we have two issues here. The first is our teachers lost about 9% against inflation over the 2021 to 24 contract. We could see that bubble of inflation, and that has eroded. A family of 2 teachers living in this district now is able to buy what 91 cents could buy 3 years ago. And so we know that, we knew that coming into this year, and we addressed through the cutting of staff and program, creating room for this offer. And that was a really important part of our plan. We do need to catch people up against inflation. At the same time, we also have done salary analysis, and we know that our top teachers, our most senior teachers, are paid below the market. Thus they, the people at the top of the scale, are getting an additional 2% increase over the rest because they are very low. Our younger teachers are fairly well compensated and have competitive salaries, but that is the area where we needed to work. And so we set that aside, and again, it comes to 15% over 3 years, 18% for the people at the top. As we go forward, schools were closed today in anticipation to make sure that we had everything prepped out. As we go forward this week, we will continue to work. Mediation is set for tomorrow. We plan to be there. GAEA will be too, and we'll work towards a solution. And we are not going to break off negotiations. We are going to keep working until we get a deal done. This is a huge hardship on families. We've had several queries about from parents who are going to lose the days that they were saving for Christmas because they're going to have to stay home for childcare, and we know that that's a hardship. We also want our kids in schools. We believe that many of these schools are the safest place for their kids. They are the place where the kids are fed. They are the place where the kids need to be during the school year, learning and moving forward. And finally, I would just like to say this again. We know that the teachers of this district care about the kids. We know that they do a great job. When I go to the schools, I see good relationships where adults and kids interact with each other with smiles on their faces, and we want that, to get that back as soon as possible. I'll take questions. We have not set a hard time yet. We just finished locating the place. Mediation, once a strike is set, does not occur in any district building. So, Hans.
Are there any plans for makeup days, or that the district is working on in anticipation of this day being closed for students and then maybe future days being missed?
Great question. The question, I'll try to repeat the questions. Question is, are there any plans for makeup days? Because this is happening in November, we do not know yet what weather will do as well. And so at this time, no plans have been made. Yes.
Have you had conversations with the governor's office, with state lawmakers about this being part of the whole question about funding education?
I have not personally. I know that the Confederation of Oregon School Administrators has. I know that the Oregon School Boards Association has. We have actually put together a group of superintendents to work on a COSA funding coalition. And yes, we are speaking at length about that and about how to improve that number. And we know that the governor has put together a new way of looking at the roll-up in the state fund. The only thing that I would see is missing is there doesn't seem to be anything in that that acknowledges that over the last 3 years we did lose approximately 9%.
What do you see if you give the teachers what they're asking for to settle this based on what they're asking for? What do you see as the repercussions?
Well, I think the class size cap becomes a pretty blunt tool to deal with, for example, behavior. We have 2 high schools in this district. We have 4 middle schools. We have 14 elementaries that are rather small. If we were to add a teacher because of a class size cap being in excess, many of our schools don't have another room. There is there are just some challenges with that, and so the cap actually is language that will cost money. So that's an issue. But at the same time, both groups, and I compliment the teachers, they had started with a large insurance. They learned that they had a good insurance number here compared to other districts. They have come down, and we have a general agreement, I think. We're pretty close on insurance. And I think both groups are in agreement that we need to catch them up. And so the compensation doesn't seem to be the issue. It seems to be more about safety behavior.
Well, in talking to some of the teachers today, staffing seems to be an issue when it comes to special ed. Counselors in the schools where they're having, high school counselor has hundreds and hundreds of kids for one counselor. So some of these are staffing issues. Is there any plans to increase staffing in some of these particular areas?
Well, the governor may have more to say about that than I do right now. I can't get back to you with the exact specifics. We have met with them, the union, in special ed, for example, and they have not been, they have seen what our ratio is, for example, in special ed for caseload, and they have agreed that those are pretty good numbers. I couldn't speak about how those compare to other districts.
What about prep? Go ahead.
I'm waiting for the next one.
I was going to say, what about prep time? They're saying that they need more prep time too to be able to grade their papers, get their classes ready for the next day. They also said that they've lost prep time in previous years.
Yeah, the prep time is the same as it has been in the contract, and we can get you a comparison analysis at the different levels. What we have is fairly consistent with what other districts do. The exception would probably be the high school. When we compare, it is a 90-minute prep. We only have a 90 and a 45 on each other day this year, but we have already committed in this contract to go to 90 next year. Any other questions? Yes?
The Educators Association says broadly they have felt unheard at the negotiation table, but how did the district feel walking away at 2 in the morning last night?
Well, we were distressed because we know the negative impacts of a strike on the community, right? And the kids and the relationships, teacher to teacher, teacher to administrator, so there's a lot of distress there. But I want to go back to what I said earlier, that being heard, we have agreed already to behavior and how we manage that. We have heard and agree with their statement of compensation. And in summary, we have also responded to all 34 articles through a long bargaining process. And where we can, we take it, like some idea. So I think this group behind me has leaned in, and we have listened, and we have engaged in side meetings with them. But I don't think that there's been a lack of effort on our part or a callousness of any kind. Any other questions?
You see here it says the difference between the gaps and the GAEA proposal is $27+ million.
Yes.
Is their proposal unreasonable? Are they being unreasonable?
So we ended this last year in June. We brought $15 million of ending fund balance into this year, closer to 16, somewhere in between. And we worked really hard to save that. We cut a local preschool that was beloved because we could no longer carry that. It was not one of our programs. And so we made a lot of sacrifices in order to do this. But we still have to have money as well in a reserve. One of the real challenges here has been teachers can see, the community can see that we have 15 million ending fund balance. And there's an understanding, I think, that we just have $15 just sitting there. But we are going to end this year without any other unforeseen emergencies. We are going to spend down to 8%, which is the board minimum, and that will occur through this year. So we have allocated $5.5 million or something like that we are spending down in our ending fund balance, and the vast majority of that is going to this contract because we know that we need to do it. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for being here. If you have any follow-up questions moving forward, feel free to email me. And otherwise, we will just keep you guys updated on next steps. And if we were to hold another press conference, I'll give you guys a heads up before then. So thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.